Hello everybody, welcome back. My hair's getting long here. Gotta get a haircut soon. It keeps getting in my face. But appreciate you guys joining me this evening. Gonna be working back on some data structures and algorithms in Python. Gonna work on a couple of these problems. We're almost done. We have, what, 6 more? Maybe do 3, 4 if I'm feeling it. And then I'm thinking I'm gonna start moving on to the reading, and then we'll come back to the beginning of the stream to finish up tomorrow with the rest of them. But I want to move forward with the book because we need to continue making progress with it. Get the stream hooked up here to the chat. Nice. Today is my first day back at work since the holiday break, and man, I'm tired. I'm gassed. It's cold here too, and no. Anyways, cool. Let's jump right on in. Let me let the Discord know that we're live. All right. Let's get moving here. So let's give a short fragment of Python code that uses the Fibonacci or the progression class from section 2.4.2 to find the 8th value of the Fibonacci progression that starts with 2 and 2 as its first two values. Okay, so let's go back up to the Fibonacci progression class. So we have progression here. Give a short Python code that uses the progression classes. Okay, so we need to use the Fibonacci progression. Oh, the only thing is that... really? Okay. Class progression. All right. Hello guys, sorry, just give me a second. I am just copying over the progression class here so we can actually solve this problem. Annoyingly, I kind of hate when textbooks ask you to like use some of the example code from the text, because then you have to like rewrite it all out, and it's just kind of, I'd rather just create like a new thing that, I don't know. Am I annoying like that? Like, is that annoying? So def dunder. How are you guys doing today? All right, let's just get this thing sorted out. Almost done, guys. Def print progression itself and n. I cut my finger today, and so I am typing without my middle finger, so it's a little bit of a struggle. I'm just going to take this whole guy here. Okay, cool. So now we can take, what we can do is we can close this bad boy, or go down here. Let's go, we'll just start copying these. Come on. Well, I need to get a new mouse. The magic mouse is slowly doing me wrong, just is not as responsive as I would like. I know that's a lot of people's complaints with it as well. Definitely adds so. And then we'll take these guys. Underscore current. Retrieve. Okay. Cool. So we got that sorted out. So we have the Fibonacci progression class, and we have the progression class. So let's go ahead and just bring that. So now we need to give a short fragment of Python code that uses the progression classes from section 2.4.2 to find the 8th value of a Fibonacci progression that starts with 2 and ends with 2. So in order to, I guess I didn't need to do this. I could have just shown it, but whatever. We'll just show the whole thing. So we'll just call prog equals for progression. We want to call Fibonacci progression on first is 2, second is 2, and that's a print prog dot print progression. Right, so if I run this, oh no, takes one from what they were given. Why? Oh, no. Why? Where's the terminal? Ugh, come on, what are you doing to me? There we go. Okay. So we have progression, Fibonacci progression, and we want to print progression. So what happens if we run this program? Okay, let me reload this really quick. There we go. Okay, so progression takes one position argument to be given. Oh. That would do it. Oh. Um, like that. Nice. Unexpected argument first. But I'm running Fibonacci progression. Well, when in doubt. I don't know why I copied it from the book, so I don't know why it's giving me. Um, oh, I forgot like all that other stuff. Iter, not it. Sorry. Iter. There we go. That's why. Um, advanced. Preview. So I just want to take the Fibonacci code from here. So I have a typo from the book in mind. Okay. Now if I run this. $42. Okay, 42. Right, so then you could like iterate over it. So what they do is they do Fibonacci progression, and they iterate over the Fibonacci progression, and then they just print the 8th value with next. But you can use print progression here. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's solve that one. That was just annoying because we had to copy all this junk from the book. I hate problems that have you like have to do all this, have to copy like the whole like example from the book and even to make it run. Whatever. Moving on. Okay. Okay, I have this one already loaded up here. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. My hair's getting long. It's getting ratty. I'm sorry. Gotta get a haircut for sure. Tomorrow, they're open. Okay, moving on to 19. When using the arithmetic progression class from section 2.4.2 with an increment of 128 and a start of 0, how many calls to next can we make before we reach an integer of 2 to the power of 63 or larger? Okay. Okay, so with this one, we need to go back to this previous problem and take the progression class. Let's take the progression class. We'll copy this over. And then we need to take the arithmetic progression class and get that back. Another one of these book problems. Ugh. Credit card. Progression. Geometric arithmetic. Okay. That kid dude. It bothers me I don't understand a lot of math for big O. I'm halfway through an algebra course right now, trying to get calculus and beyond. I want to understand the math and proofs, lol. Well, you're in the right place. We're about to get there in chapter 3. I think we're going to get into like time and stuff like that. So chapter 3, and after we get past these, we just have about 5 more problems here at the end of chapter 2, and then we can finally move on to chapter 3. I know we've been kind of stuck on this for a couple of days, but these problems are just long and annoying. Just to kind of set up and document here. But yeah, this is a great place to be, that kid, dude. Appreciate you being here. Oh, my whoops, sorry guys, my dock sometimes comes loose and knocks out my light. Let me turn that back on. Whoa, there we go. Oh, it did it again. Why is it doing that? Alright, sorry about that. It keeps bumping my dock or something and causing it to disconnect from my monitor for a reason. But I think I need to, my screen capture is going to bug out here, so let me, window capture, display capture, there we go. Okay, that should be back to normal. Hello, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you coming in here. Thank you, that kid dude, for the messages. We will get to that in chapter 3, I believe, after this. But we are almost done with the end of chapter 2 problems in data structures and algorithms in Python. This is a book. I believe they teach it at a lot of collegiate levels, or maybe pre-collegiate or collegiate level. Python course, not courses, but classes. But we can. This is going to go ahead and teach us, DSA, and hopefully we can learn it ourselves here. And then after this, I'll work on my personal project, the small business manager that we've been working on stream live for the past few days. Yeah, we're just finishing up a couple of problems here, just trying to get let me take out, I'm just trying to take these from the book because I need to use them to make this problem happen. So all right, superstar, this guy, def advance, do this guy. Cool. All right, so now we have that. We actually need to fix this part. Doesn't like copying the underscores from the book. And then we gotta put this guy in here. And then, oh, this guy in here. And then this guy in here. Any other ones I'm missing? No, I think I'm good. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this problem then. So using the arithmetic progression class from section whatever, with an increment of 128 and a start of 0, how many calls to next can we before we get to the integer 2? So let's first find out what 2 to the power of, so test is equal to 2 to the power of 63. Let's so we'll see this. Okay, it's some big old number. So what we can do is we can loop until we reach this number. So let's go ahead and make a object is equal to arithmetic class, not arithmetic class, arithmetic progression with an increment of, what was it from the problem? 128 and a start of 0. So we go up every 128 integers and we start at 0. Right? So then if we print object, what happens now? Good. Okay, so we get a data object in our memory. So do we have a way, we have print progression up to n times. So what we can do actually is, let's try this. If we want to see, let's try this. We want to print, no, for, we got a list for value in object obj dot so do make a list of value for value in obj. Oh shoot! So we want to save value in the list for every value in obj dot so this calls next and returns the answer next. So we can just call next over and over again. I'm gonna print this, see what happens. Does this actually do anything? No. It's not an iterable. Keyboard interrupt. Okay. So what we can do then is, I believe what we can say is, so the next so we can iterate and we should be able to iterate over this, right? So obj dot print progression. This will technically go on forever. Yeah, there's no stop. So we need to figure out a stop here. So arithmetic progression, start 0. is an infinite progression object. Okay, so we need to next what? I can go. What happens if I go like this? Not scriptable. So when using arithmetic progression class with an increment of 28 and start at 0, how many calls to next do we have to make? So let's do this. Count equals 0 for value in OBJ if value less than or equal to what was it, 2 to the power of 63 count plus 1. So let's say while value less than, let's do it here, 2 times, while value less than, for value in OBJ, value, while value less than no, I don't think we should do it at the while loop condition stage either. I've always wanted, I bet there's some way we can do it like that. It would make, it kind of makes sense in a way, but I don't know. So for value in the object, let's just make this prog so it's easier to understand. For value in the progression, let's just print. See if this works. Okay, no. So this is just going to keep going. No, because, yeah, it's going to print all of them. This is a huge freaking number. If we print just that, remember, it was massive. Whoops. I mean, let's whoops. Let's comment these out and run that. So this is a really big number. How many? I don't want to call next every single time. Hey Curry999, thanks so much for coming in here. I appreciate you coming in and leaving a message. That's really nice of you. How long have you been learning Python? I started about 5-6 months ago and just teaching myself through a lot of books and online resources. So where are you at in learning? Are you experienced or beginner, or would you use this stream as a platform to hold myself accountable and study? Leonard, thanks so much for coming in here. I appreciate you leaving a message. Python is nice. I've been learning C#. Awesome. Well, this is a place to be for learning. I try to use this stream to hold myself accountable and stay consistent, as well as provide other people maybe some inspiration about that they're not alone in this grind, right? Okay, so we need to figure out how many times we have to call print in order to get this number or exceed it in the progression. So for value in progression, if value is less than 2C3, we want to count plus equals to 1, right? And then let's just come here and print the count. So I feel like this is the cheap way of doing it. Oops. Gosh, I'm having a lot of typos. I cut my finger on a fan in my kitchen like an idiot. I took off the grate, right? So the fan that is inside of the hood of the over the stove. Freaking, I'm so dumb. I took it off because like, oh, I need to clean this. I was like, and I for some reason like was like the light, like I don't know. It's like, oh, fan, and like I just stuck my hand like right up in the fan while it was on, just not even thinking, and sliced my finger and my nail. So I'm just kind of slow typing today. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me. Might have a lot of typos because I'm trying to avoid that finger. Um, Curry999 says, "What do you recommend? I'm a beginner and actually want to learn something." Yeah, I'll give you the go around here. So, I was a beginner too. I still am. Still am. Don't get me wrong. I started in the beginning of June with Python CS50P through Harvard and EDX Online. It's a free certificate, free version, and I completed that course about 3 months throughout the whole summer, June, July, and August. At the end of August, I kind of turned in my final project. I have a I have a video on my channel that goes over that for that final project submission. And then I started reading Python Crash Course right after that to further solidify those kind of more beginner concepts. And this really helped to like just bang in those beginner concepts, and also taught me a lot of new additional things as well. Um, is my mic pretty quiet, guys? Let me turn it up. I'm sorry. I feel like I get loud sometimes because I get hyped and I kind of shout, but how's that? Is that a little bit better? Let me know. Maybe when negative 1.5. Right there. Is that a little bit better? Yeah, but the Python Crash Course really helped. I feel like I should turn it up even more, like a little bit into the, like there, maybe. Yeah, so the Python Crash Course really helped to solidify the concepts. All of part one, the first half, is just like learning, and then all of part two is some projects. And I didn't do the projects because I like doing kind of my own, and I think but I think I might do them eventually. Um, Gotcha. But I'm posting all the video. I'm going back through and doing the try it yourself problems. I've already done them like live when I read the book live on stream. But oh yeah, I read the whole book live, by the way, if you're new here. So you can go back and check that out if you're wanting like their audio book, or read it while you're working, or whatever, or listen to it while you're working or something. That's always an option. But I'm going back through and posting videos on my channel for the try it yourself problems, just tutorials or like solution videos that I came up with, just for additional practice for myself, and also to provide that for you guys as well. Um, and then my next book, right now I'm reading the Data Structures and Algorithms in Python. It's right here on the top of my screen. I also, the PDF of this book and the DSA book, and then the next books I'll get to they can be found on my Discord. I just kind of made a Discord to kind of throw everything, all my study resources together for these channel followers and the stream watchers to also gain access to everything. So that's just in the description. And so, no problem, Curry. Um, it's my pleasure. I'd love to help other people in my similar situation. And I look forward to seeing you on the next stream if you're bowing out. Please consider following along so we can connect in the future. I love talking to you guys and working on projects together. When I work on my project on the second half of the stream for all my streams, I get a lot of feedback from everybody and that comes in and stops in, and they a lot of times they suggest things and I implement them, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. This is the next book. It's Fluent Python. Got this for $10. Big old boy. The second edition. I'm gonna start. I haven't started this one yet. This is like more intermediate Python. This is like making that next step. So that's kind of where we're going now. We're learning DSA, and then we'll kind of jump into this one as well when we get more down the line in the DSA book. And then I was recommended to save this one till later because it'll be a little bit more challenging, but we have machine learning in Python as well. So this one will get us into like, maybe like, is it AI model training, or I don't even know what machine learning really is, to be honest. So that's the whole point of this one. But yeah, I could watch videos, but I like reading books. I've gotten into it lately, and it helps me also, I don't know, stay fresh in my mind. I feel like I've gotten so bad at reading. Like I need to get better at it and more. And I like reading aloud because it helps me to understand the concepts. I can explain it to myself and also to the stream and to other people. And it just helps to solidify these concepts. Awesome, Curry. Thanks so much. Appreciate you, man. Leonard, maybe trying another language is going to help you. I messed around with HTML, CSS, and JS for about a year. Nice. Yeah, I found that the books, they, you know, they can be difficult at first to just get into the flow of how the author writes, but once you kind of see how they give examples and then how they explain those examples, and it really covers the topics quite well, and then you can always just go back in. I mean, videos are great, but I don't know, I feel like with the book, they both have their advantages, right? What do you guys think? Do you guys like books or videos better for learning this kind of stuff? Okay, so let's try this. So for every value in the progression, right, if value is less than or equal to this, or if it's less than, right, we don't want it not equal to. If it's equal or over, we hit the target. We can print count. So we'll let this run for a sec. This has a lot of run time. Like I said, though, I don't think this is very efficient, so this might take a second. I don't know how else are we supposed to do this so it's like not crazy slow. What do you guys think? Yeah, Curry, feel free to join the Discord where the PDFs are, and I have the solution videos for the try yourselves on my channel if you need to reference those, and I also read it aloud on my previous streams if you want to throw those in while you're in the background or something. Very nice. So this is still running here, guys. Oh, okay. We're probably gonna air out here soon. I'll get a keyboard interrupt. Okay, so how can we do this that's more efficient then, right? Let's kind of poke at the Djibouti. Rather than have him give us the answer, what I like to do is kind of have him serve as a teacher. So let's say if I am iterating over a list or progression, and I am trying to find a target value that is quite large. How could I more efficiently iterate through the progression without so this is what this is my current approach. Don't give me the answer flat out. Coach me to it. Okay. That's my current. Great. Let's analyze this step by step. Your code is iterating through progression and counting to the number of values less than 2 to the power of 63. Now let me ask some coaching questions to guide you to a more efficient solution. Here we go. We're getting coached. All right. Is prog a simple list or is there more structured progression? Like, it's and okay. I'm going to give it this. But again, coach me through. I don't want it to give me the answer. It likes to just give me the answer, and I want to just not do that, like avoiding it. Okay, you're iterating over the arithmetic progression to count how many values are less than 2 to the power of 63. Let's improve efficiency and guide you towards a more optimal solution. Recognize the inefficiency. I recognize the inefficiency. If I am iterating over this, right, this value, 2 to the power of 63, this target value in my progression is very large, right? It was something huge. As you can see, my computer was trying to count over and over again, and it got all the way to 300,000, right? No, 3 million, 3.6 million. So it got up there, but it just was it would take forever. So the for loop iterates through every progression value one at a time and performs a comparison. While this works, it's not efficient for large progressions because you're making O of n iterations. Okay, I've heard this term before. This is the first we haven't learned about time in the book yet. I believe that is introduced in the next chapter. So again, I know I'm moving a little bit slow in chapter 2. These problems are kind of I've had to go through get these books, copy all the things from the book to get these functions to work, right? But so just bear with me here. We'll get to that in a second. But we're on O of n iteration. So what I interpret this means is we have some loop here. We're doing like a multiple n times, right? Now, whatever O means, is that just time it takes to complete the loop? Now, maybe that's what it means, like a circle, like the loop. Now, that's my first like intuitive thing, right? O of n, like time to complete the loop. Well, you do the loop n number of times. Is that what O of n means? Who knows? Probably not. Well, I know there's like big O of n or something like that, so maybe that actually isn't the case. Anyways, each next call advances the progression linearly. Now let's think through the problem. Step 2, characteristics of progression. The progression starts at 0 and increments by 128 each step, so the sequence looks like that. This is an arithmetic progression, which can be described mathematically as a of n is equal to a of 0 plus n times d, where a is the start value, d is the increment, and n is the number of steps. Your goal is to find the largest n such as that a of n is less than, the progression value that's less than this value. Step 3. Reframe the problem mathematically. Substitute the formula of a and n into the inequality. So, right, we had this original formula up here for an arithmetic progression. And now we can substitute it for this. So a of n, this is the target, is less than or equal to this. Oh, this is sneaky. Okay, I see what this did. So what this said is, oh, here we go. We got some people. Sorry, I'll get some caught up on the chat here. Isa, thanks so much for coming in. I'm reading DSA in Python, Data Structures and Algorithms in Python. Just teaching myself Python over the past few months. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm streaming my progress for other people to also, seek inspiration through or, find uh, solitude with. And also hold myself accountable. So what this does is it kind of solved it mathematically and solved for the end directly rather than looping. Implement the effective. Now let's modify our code to use mathematic insight. Rewrite the logic. Confirm your understanding. Interesting. Right, so what this says is for an arithmetic progression, current. So you have increment here, you have start. Now, what if I wanted to solve the problem with the next function? Using the next function directly can indeed solve the problem while staying true to the iterative nature of the arithmetic progression class. To do this effectively, you'd still avoid a full iteration over all the values by introducing a stop condition that ensures we terminate as soon as we reach or exceed that. Let's work through it. Using next, you manually advance through the progression instead of relying on a for loop, which automatically handles stop iteration. You'll call next explicitly until you reach the target condition. So similar to what we're doing here. This approach is similar in complexity to your original for loop, but it retains the explicit use of next. It doesn't skip values or optimize mathematics, but it's easy to adapt. David, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate the kind words. Love what you're doing. Just started streaming myself, studying coding like this. Wish you the best. Well, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. I guess the only way I've been doing it. So appreciate the kind words and good luck to you, man. There's a lot of stuff to be learning out there. And, I've learned that kind of education is a privilege that we have, and to have all these resources at our disposal when other people in time never were able to. They had to, pay courses and all this stuff to have this stuff at their disposal and not take advantage of it, in my opinion, is just quite silly and, dumb. So got to continue leveling up your brain, I guess. So interesting. So what this wanted us to, that's so annoying. Is that how they wanted you to solve this problem, though? Is to say that, right, like, what an error you increase by 128 and you start at 0. Just every time? Is that what an arithmetic progression? So let's go back to that formula. A plus n. So if you have infinite number of steps, then okay. So we're trying to figure out how many steps it would take to get to the target. Got you. So exactly. So what it's having you do, guys, is think about this. So an arithmetic progression, all it is you have your answer, right? Or that like value that you're currently on in the progression is equal to the current value that you are with, whether that be the start or the previous answer, right? Plus just the increment, right? Now, if you add in steps, right, you can kind of answer at step times step, if that makes any sense. I can't really make this like sub, maybe answer of step, maybe like that. At step, or sorry, not two, it should be like step here. Casanova, thanks so much for joining and leaving a message. I appreciate you coming in. Yeah, I just started teaching myself. I watched the Python CS50P course online. I took that whole course, did all the problems, completed the final project, made it my own project. I have a video that showcases that project on my channel from a few months back. And then I started reading, I know for those that were here, I'm sorry, I'm kind of talking over myself again, but I started reading the Python Crash Course book, solidifying the Python, beginner basic concepts again, and then I completed all the in-text problems, and I'm going back through and posting them on my channel. But right now, I'm currently moving on to more kind of beginner, intermediate level to intermediate like data structures and algorithms, and then I'll eventually get into the Fluent Python book and then machine learning in Python book that I have here. Hello! Short and sweet too. Thanks so much for joining in. I appreciate you coming in, leaving us such a kind messages. We got such nice people here today. All right, I'm gonna call you Balcom because I am not gonna butcher your first name. If you could give me a pronunciation, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be great. But I don't want to offend you, so I'll call you Balcom for now if that's okay. Isioma, what made me start learning? Well, yeah, actually, I have a Bachelor of Science from a college here in the United States, state school. I have a Bachelor of Science in, human biology and a minor in chemistry. It's been a long day. I'm quite tired. And I graduated at the end of 2021, and I've been in my professional field here at a biotech company working as a chemist for about 3 years. And anyways, I just have a lot of instances in my work where I work with like chemical matrices and things along those lines. And I was like, and I do them all by hand and by like feel and by intuition and practice, obviously building these products that I build. And I thought it would be quite neat to have a computer do that for me, and that would springboarded this whole adventure into learning programming, and I really enjoy it. And so I've been making some projects on the side and reading books and trying to increase my knowledge. So in the first half of my streams, I read books to increase my knowledge and do practice problems, such as this one I'm doing now, Data Structures and Algorithms. We're on page 111 of 770, so we're making progress little by little, you guys. It might not seem like it, but we are. And which is big, just to think like last week we just started this book, so all it took was just starting, and then next thing you know, we blink, a week goes by and we're on page 111. So next thing we know, next week we'll be on page 250, and the week after that we'll be halfway done, and it'll be really crazy. So just little by little, it's not, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I have a 9 to 5, and I do this after my 9 to 5 and then on the weekends. So I just am trying to grind away here, and it's kind of my only hobbies is learning and teaching myself stuff. And I play guitar sometimes too, but I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, and then in the second half of my stream, I work on personal projects to also just solidify those concepts I was learning. So right now I'm building a small business manager application which takes in inventory items, processes them hopefully. We just wrote the file writing system, reading and writing and saving those items into the inventory database. And we sorted that out yesterday's stream and the day before that. So really, if you want to reference those and see those, you can check those streams. We'll go over those later in the stream too, those functions we wrote. But yeah, and then I just write them on stream with people, and people stop in and give suggestions about how to improve the functions I write, and they're, oh, you should add this, you should change this, and they, oh, cool, and I learn, and yeah, we make a cool community. And that I also have a Discord linked below where I provide kind of like a more structured area for the learning I did, such as I provide the PDFs for the books that I'm reading, and then also links to the CS50P course, and then I might also post private videos for the Discord people, um, that are go over my solutions to the CS50 problems, because I know they don't really like having those publicly, and I think it should still be noted that we can share, you can learn from people's answers is a very a viable way of learning, as long as you're being responsible with it. So, I think that that's true. I think I can do that as well. But yeah, what do you guys think? Would that be fun? But yeah, check out the Discord below if you want to join, and you can also chat with me offline, and other people as well, and that have come and stopped in the channel and that frequently come back too. There's quite a few people that come back to the channel and watch on a daily basis, so it's pretty nice. The channel has been really growing the past couple of days, actually, just kind of out of nowhere. And yeah, so it's been really crazy, guys. Thank you so much. It's all because you. All right, so what this is basically saying is, like, the answer at this step is for a arithmetic progression is just your current value plus your increment value, multiply that by the amount of steps, right? Now I guess you would have to it would have to be like this, right? No. No, you would have to do this every single time. Of the Fluent Python, yes, this one. I haven't started reading this one though. This one is pretty intermediate. Like, a lot of people suggest this one for getting into that more intermediate advanced area. But the Python crash course, if you're a beginner, is what you're wanting to check out. This one really helped me to get all those concepts really solidified, and I even still go back and reference them as I'm continuing to learn and forget things. So this one is by Eric Maths. Can't really pronounce that very well, but yeah, it's the 3rd edition. I have a copy of the PDF just on my Discord, and that's all free. I'm not going to ever charge for getting people together. I'm learning myself. All right. So then what we can do is we can kind of turn this into a math problem. We can substitute. So if our current is 0, our increment is 128, and we're solving for step, right? Our answer would be the 2 times to the power of the 63, right? That's what our catch is here in this problem. So if we just have 128 here times step, so if you just divide so the 128, you turn into an inequality. Yeah, divided by 128, exactly. And so then this turns into, because this is less than, no, greater than. We need to know the step that's less than. So then you just divide by 128, right? But they have floor division. They want to know integer division to find out how many increments fit. They want it rounded down. So they don't want, okay, that's interesting as well. So then, would there be a difference though? I wonder if we could test this. So, so it's like this, right? So you have max value is this. Count equals step equals this guy here. Cool. So essentially, if you just refactored that mathematic problem, into like a code problem, you can just directly solve for the step by dividing the answer by the increment. Ah, okay. So then we can just print step, and we run here. That's our answer. So it's 7 quadrillion, super quadrillion, whatever, which is going to be this guy here. Is indeed a large number. Interpreting the context of the problem is crucial. Let's break it down. $72. Yeah. Interesting. So I'm just going to, I want to quickly put that like little logic back for the next user. So you have the answer, or you have like you have answer at step is equal to the current value, or like current value. In this case, it could be like start, right? Plus the increment times the step, right? So you do this multiplication first and then add the current value onto it. So then you can refactor this down, right, you guys? We got 17 concurrent viewers. This is the largest I think I've ever had this. Hello, you guys. My name is Michael. If you guys are new here, sorry if I'm repeating myself. I just like to introduce myself to people that are new. But I'm just teaching myself Python through various online resources. Been going for about 6 months. I do a lot of reading through various texts and other, courses online. Right now we're reading Data Structures and Algorithms. We're on page 111. And chapter 2, we're finishing up the end of chapter 2 problems. We're about to move on to chapter 3, which will get into actual, I think, algorithms, kind of really start diving in and into time and stuff like that. But yeah, so, and then in the second half of my stream, we do personal projects that I'm working on to reinforce the learning that we're doing. So yeah, we've been doing these streams, and the whole purpose is to provide, inspiration, or hold myself accountable, also create an environment for learning for everybody, because I learn things from you guys just as much as I learn from these books, it seems like. So all right, so yeah, this would be, let's go ahead and comment this out like that. You can refactor this down and sub in your values, start, increment, which is the current, the increment, and the answer at stamp. Cool. Does that make sense? Argenis, thanks so much, man. I mean, hello, sorry, not thanks so much. Well, thank you for joining, actually. Thanks so much for coming in and leaving a comment. Yeah, we're just back working on the Data Structures and Algorithms in Python book right now. We are almost done with the problems. We got 4 more. So I think we're good to move on here, though. So actually, we need to take this answer and copy this, and I'll put step is equal to that. So that's the lowest. Oh, would that be the step? times 16 to the... Okay, so this gives you the full value then. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the integer division will give you the full value that could be go into this without exceeding. Got you. But all right, moving on. What are some potential efficiency disadvantages? Okay, let's go back here. Oh boy, come on. Here we go. What are some potential efficiency disadvantages of having very shallow inheritance trees? That is, a large set of classes A, B, C, and so on, such as that all these classes extend a single class Z. What are some potential efficiency disadvantages of having very shallow inheritance trees? That is, a large set of classes A, B, and C, and so on, such that all of these classes extend from a single class C. So like saying that like a shallow tree as in like the trunk isn't very large. So like it just you have a ton of branches. So if like you just have a ton of things coming off of the one base class, kind of like my hand, like my wrist is the base class, and let's say you have 10 classes coming off. What's like a potential disadvantage? Maybe a lot of those classes share similar characteristics. What do you guys think? Let's phone a friend. Let's ping the audience. Survey says. What do you guys think? I can't imagine this has a specific answer out of context of a problem. No, I think this is just more hypothetical, like theoretical, like just I don't think this has a specific right or wrong answer. Maybe probably has wrong answers, like, but I don't think it has a specific right answer. This is more just maybe this should have been added into the creativity section rather than reinforcement. But interesting. I only do the reinforcement ones. I'll maybe go back through and do those ones later. But there's a lot of problems. There's like 50, so I can only want to do so many before I move on to the next chapter. But hello, A. Thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate you leaving a message. You're very kind. Thank you. And interacting with the stream. You make this a lot more enjoyable, and it makes it more fun to talk to people here rather than myself. All right. What kind of... Let's think here. Let's brainstorm. So what potential efficiency disadvantages of having deep... Oh, having very deep? I thought it was shallow. Oh, whoops. We're on 21st. Sorry, I read the wrong one. What are some potential efficiency disadvantages of having very deep inheritance trees? That is, a large set of classes A, B, and C, and so on, such as that B extends A, C extends B, D extends C, etc. Okay, so you're just snaking classes together here? Argenis, how do you think I know the answer to that question? No worries. Of course, probably re-implementing the same methods for similar classes is the only thing I can think of, right? If you're branching off of a base class, especially if it's maybe like an abstract base meta class, right? Um, then likelihood you're not very far off from the parent, right? You probably have, if you think about it in terms of like genetics, you probably have a lot of similar genes, just like you would to your brothers and sisters. Now, if you get further than that, obviously those genes dissipate, and those crossing over methods or attributes in this case would slowly dissipate as you get further and further away from that initial parent, because you start to differentiate more and more. That's definitely valid, I think. So I'm gonna go back to the 221 and let's write that in real quick. So um, being close, assuming that being close child to the parent or to the base parent class, assuming that being close in relation, we'll say, to the parent class, to the base class, methods and or attributes could cross over. But isn't that the whole point, though, also of having parent-child classes, of having attributes and methods cross over? Um, like in excess, maybe, is like in excess. Um, like if you, a child may, for example, like a child class may only differ from the or the the child class may only differ from the parent by a small amount, causing excess code, causing excess work, right? Like you can maybe just add it, isn't at like if you have a parent and the child of that class only has like one attribute that is different, well, maybe why not just you have the option to just throw that on the parent class as an optional parameter, like set it to none. If given, then set it, right? Um, and then not even have to worry about having a child, right? So that's just one way of going about it. Uh, could you could apply those attributes slash methods to the parent as optional, right? Interesting. Anybody have any other thoughts they want to chime in about that? Feel free. Like seriously, this is interactive. Let me know what you have your opinions on this, and then we'll ask the almighty orb. We'll ask the orb. We'll ask the magic conch. My hair is so long right now. I need to get a haircut bad. Let's go ahead and ask the magic conch here while we wait for some replies to come in. Magic conch, speak to me. Your observation is right on track. Woo! Let's go. Sorry about your ears if that was a little loud. Your observation is right on track. Shallow inheritance trees can lead to inefficiencies due to how tightly everything is packed into the same level of hierarchy. Here are the main disadvantages to this approach. Code duplication. When many classes directly inherit from a base single class, it may result in repetitive or duplicated code because subclasses may define its specific behaviors and attributes individually, even if they overlap with those sibling classes. Wow, look at us, guys. All right, limited code reuse. With shallow inheritance, there's no intermediate hierarchy to group common behaviors or attributes to shared parent classes. In deeper trees, you could have a middle class level Y that encapsulates common features, reducing redundancy. Yeah, you could like, in an instance of like a Y, if you think about a Y, right? You have like, if the bottom of the Y is the parent, you have another class that is like a sibling, and then or a child, and then that child has two more children that come off of it. Um, so the middle class right here, where the intersection between the two children happens, is like a common ground. Difficulty to scale. Adding new features to the system becomes harder if the parent class cannot handle additional functionality. That is true. Let's add that in. The adding additional function. Is that how you spell functionality? Is it two L's? No, functionality. To the parent class could be difficult if many child classes are impacted, right? Okay, let's move on. Go back to the 20 here. So then the opposite then. What are some potential efficiency disadvantages for having a very deep inheritance trees? That is large classes like that snake. So ABC, whereas A goes to B, B goes to C, C goes to D, etc., etc. Just a lot of class, like a lot of code. Obvious. The more classes you have, the larger the code file becomes, code base becomes, thus keeping harder track of. What are some other ones that we think could arise from deep inheritance trees, whereas snaking inheritance trees, right? Right? We have A goes to B, which goes to C, which goes to D, which goes to, etc. What are some disadvantages here, guys? Well, as you get so far away from the parent class, you really kind of lose relation, I would assume. You quickly gain distance from the base class. Alienating common attributes / functions or methods. Writing classes that are only inherited by one class and thus can be collapsed. Ooh, that's a good one. So by collapsed A is, I've never heard that term used with classes before. Does that just mean like the class just breaks in a term? Like obviously class means breaks, but is if the base class obviously breaks, or the one before that breaks, or the one before that breaks, then all of those superseding classes, exactly, yeah, all of those superseding classes are broken. If one class breaks, all proceeding child classes will collapse. We'll use your word collapse. Is that you spell collapse? Yeah. It looks weird for me for some reason. Hello from India. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming in here from across the world. You celebrated what, Diwali last month? We had a Diwali celebration in my work. We have quite a large Indian descent population, and it was fun. They had a lot of sweet treats. Is it the samosas? Is that right? If I'm wrong, I'm really sorry. I think it was. A, B, C, D, and E. This could be written as A, B, A, D, and E. Oh, gotcha. So having A to B to C to D and E. Well, this could be the same as written as A to D and E because with having the functionality of B and C as well. Oh, got you. Oh, collapsible. Sorry, got this drinking some Sprite here. Sorry, guys. Stream, not my finest moment. Not polite. So you mean the well, I appreciate you joining so much. That's so awesome to hear. Thanks so much for interacting, and feel free to follow along so we can connect in the future. Um, so yeah, so essentially, D and E already inherit all of the attributes of B and C, but what if you didn't want them to? Yeah. No, I get you. A that does. Thank you so much for that help. If one class breaks, all the preceding class trials will follow. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's see what the almighty orb has to say about this. You've identified several valid disadvantages of deep inheritance trees. Let's expand on these and add some additional challenges that come with overly deep hierarchies. Complexity in understanding and maintaining code. As the inheritance trees deepen, understanding the relationship between classes becomes increasingly difficult. Developers must trace through multiple levels to understand how behavior is inherited or overridden. Debugging becomes more time consuming as you need to determine at which level of the hierarchy is a particular behavior or bug originates. Alienation from the base code. As you noted, the deeper or the hierarchy, the more alienated subclasses become from the base class. Yep. Fragile. Cascading failures. Changes in higher level parent classes can have unintended ripple effects across all descending classes. Code duplication or overwriting. Cool. We got a lot of there's a lot here. Nice. All right, we got 2 more problems, you guys. We're almost done with this. Oh, it has been a grind through chapter 2. Let me tell you, they threw. I think chapter 2 is like page 70 all the way through like 100. So they threw like 30 pages at you to read, just on classes alone. You know, some of it was review, obviously, but they threw a lot of material, and I wanted to go through it all. So the collections.sequence abstract-based class does not provide support for comparing 2 sequences together. Modify our sequence class from code fragment 2.14 to include the definition for the Dunder equals method, so the expression sequence 1 equals sequence 2 will return true precisely when the 2 sequences are element by element equivalents. Oh, okay. You guys, I'm gonna have to go back to section 2.14. Brutal. 1.5, 1.5, 4, 4, 3. See, this is all chapter 2. We read this all on stream out loud. This everything. We read it out loud. It's crazy. Ooh, brutal. 2.1. Here we go. 0.3. No. No, was it 2.4 point? No, 2.14. Code fragment 2.1. Oh my gosh. Code fragment 2.8. 2.6. This is brutal. Sorry, you guys. This is really annoying. I can understand how this would be so lame to watch right now. Bear with me. Bear with me. No, I missed it again. Where are you? Scale? Testing? Ugh. Credit card? Oh, let me get caught up on some things here. Can you tell me? I'm kind of lost because I don't know what I should go with because sometimes I like front end and some dev, and sometimes I like back end, and sometimes I like data analysis. I'm confused on what I should do. Well, the thing about it is the liberty of programming, in my opinion, from what I've learned though so far now, I don't like giving advice really because I'm learning myself, and one that is learning shouldn't really be giving out advice in my opinion. But you can obviously learn from my learning. That's the purpose of this stream. But um, and we can work together. But my opinion, I guess, is you know I'm not too big into the design aspects of things. I think yeah, they're cool. I like making things like work on like a deeper level than maybe like. And now I'm not saying that front end things isn't like a deeper level. Now I don't know a lot about front end to be honest, but from what I do know, I've taken some courses and read some things. I just found myself wanting to continue with Python really, and um, I just kind of like the old. Like, I like numbers, math. I'm a scientist. I have a degree in human biology and chemistry, and I'm a formulation chemist for the past 3 years since I graduated, and um, so yeah, it's kind of what I've come back to. But again, it comes down to people's backgrounds and things like that. So I applied for a few jobs of having the basics of those languages, but got no replies. That sucks. Yeah, it's tough out there. I've heard. Yeah, I'm not in the CS profession. I'm just doing this as a personal goal of mine to learn and teach myself and add a new personal skill, which I am sharing with you guys on stream for anyone else that might be in the same situation. So if you are, feel free to follow along to the channel so we can, continue to learn together. And I work on projects live. I read these books out loud live. And I talk through all the problems, so it really helps to solidify these concepts on a deeper level, in my opinion. Uh, yeah. But yeah, back to on the job hunt. I've got no input on the job hunt. I got a job fairly quickly in the biotech industry in 2021, kind of when things were, um, they weren't really too hot for biotech really, but they were. You could find work, but now everything is pretty dead in biotech, any sort of that whole realm. So it's pretty tough. People are kind of holding on to what they got right now. Faris, thanks so much for joining. Yeah, we're going to implement this link sequence function right now. So we just need to actually, I'm trying to find the sequence code here that was given by the, so this is 2.5. Where is 2.14? Let me just look at 2.14. Okay, here's code fragment 2.14. So I'm not going to copy all of this like I have been doing in the past. It's just too much for right now. I might go back later in the future, but so we need to implement into code fragment 2.14 some definitions, a definition for the Dunder EQ method. Right? So I've never actually written one of these. Now I'm guessing you do self, the value itself, and you do some other object, right? Some other sequence, right? That you're comparing it to. You plug in as well. Now, what exactly does this return? So this is a sequence class for determining lengths, get items, indexes. Modify it from the code to include a definition for the EQ method. So we say for val for index and value in self dot enumerate self, right? If we enumerate the self object, now I don't know if that's the most efficient way of going about it, but we'll see. If we enumerate over self, let me get caught up some chats here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm delayed. I'm trying to balance doing the chats, and you guys are really awesome giving me so many chats. Okay, hey there. What material are you working on, John? Thanks so much for messaging. I really appreciate you, man. I'm working on data structures and algorithms in Python. It's a right now I'm working off a PDF. It's a actual textbook. I believe they teach it in maybe some collegiate levels. I'm not exactly sure, but it's a DSA book. Getting kind of into more intermediate concepts in Python, and from my interpretation, that is. And I do provide a PDF inside of my Discord, linked in my description. Community Discord, free, just kind of conglomerates all of my learning resources in one area for everybody to reference that joins the stream and community. So yeah, yeah, that would be a great place to follow along per your next message. If you want to go to the Discord, you can download the PDF versions and complete these yourself, or you could follow along as I'm doing them live here. To, whatever sees fit. Ferris, you cannot compare the length of generators. These ones are infinite. Yeah, true. Although a sequence can also be a tuple or a list. Comparing to any range may be a little bit more interesting. You should do a Discord server. We can find people who want. Yeah, exactly. We have a Discord server. Exactly. You should join that. Casting the range to a list would probably be the move. Gonna be doing this year's new code event of code. No, I've never. I some people in my chat were talking about that last night, the code event. But they were telling me that it's pretty challenging, and I was working on another project last night, and I'd never even heard about it before. So maybe we could check it out. Hello, James. I am also in the San Francisco Bay Area. Good to talk to you, man. Local man. So you come from non-tech, same here. I'm kind of scared because I came from non-tech background. They prefer guys with tech degrees in some places. You know, I you could think about it the you could think about it half empty, or maybe you could think about it half full. If everybody has a tech degree, and they're bringing the same things to the table, maybe you could bring a unique perspective by having a science background. I hear that, in my opinion, there's a lot of big movements in what I'm going to when I get into the machine learning and Python book, right? There's a lot of big movements in biological diagnoses of like and things like that with machine learning and AI. I think that could be the next big wave of the medical industry is diagnosing patients with quicker, easier with and more accurately with AI, and eliminating human error and things like that could be crazy. So when we get into that eventually down the road in these streams, we'll get there. So follow along if you're wanting to get there. I have a background in I have a degree in human biology and chemistry, and I work as a formulation chemist right now. So I do have some knowledge in those areas. All right, let's kind of sorry. What day are you on for teaching yourself? I've been teaching myself for 6 months now, just on and off, and then I've been streaming pretty consistently for the past, like, I'd say two or three. I have about, I think, 50 videos of streams on my channel so far. So off and on, but now for the past kind of 2 weeks, I've been getting pretty consistent at it because I've actually been starting to feel a lot more comfortable in Python and be able to just code from the knowledge I have like currently, and it's been flowing. It's kind of like think about it when you're learning Spanish in high school and you're actually starting to talk with your teacher. That's kind of the same feeling I'm getting right now. Thanks so much, One Fit Squad, for your message, though. If you guys could let me know how my mic is, I oftentimes think it's too loud or too quiet. Let me know how it sounds. But thank you so much for your message. It's been good so far. No, I'm just the whole. I'm not. There's no purpose. I'm not seeking a change in career really. I'm just trying to teach myself a new skill with some resources I have. I don't want to put any pressure on it. I feel like people put a lot of pressure on their learning, especially with programming, and then that just leads to burnout, right? If I'm forcing myself to learn to get a job to then make money, right? I'm not having fun, in my opinion, with it. I'm not enjoying the process of learning, teaching myself something, growing as an individual. And so, yeah, I find that if I remove the pressures of it, and by coming in from a different field, I've actually enjoyed the process of learning more because I'm not forcing myself to have to find work or grind through this as fast as I can. I'll go ahead and let me make the I'll make the font size bigger for you. How about you? Why does it do that? Okay, so I think what we can do is for the index itself, um, and then for index of self, and then the index of self, and then for the index of other, and then the value. Is this the good way of going about it? I'm not sure. For the index of value of other, enumerate other if index self is equal to index of other and index of and value of self is equal to value of other, return true. Else, I don't think we need an else statement. It'll just automatically return false else, maybe, but maybe actually we need to explicitly say it because we're setting up the actual equal. How does that look? That was just my first kind of offhand, my first kind of thought about doing it. All right, let's catch up on some chats here. James Peralta says, Mike is good. Awesome. Great. That's great. One Fit Squad says, nice. I'm on week 1 of learning Python, going through the Code Academy course guidance. Mike is all good, by the way. Sweet. Awesome. Maybe also check out the Python Crash Course book if you're wanting for some more like texture material. This gives a lot of great in-text examples to follow along, one of one. It actually goes line by line with footnotes right after it gives the example to show you this is why I wrote this line does this line does that. And then it has example problems to try it yourself actually in those chapters as well, embedded in the chapters. And then on my channel, I'm going back through, because I've already read this, I'm going back through and just posting my solutions and kind of just a short little solution video to those try it yourself problems. So if that's something you're interested in, then reference those. And the PDF is also, you can find the PDF either online or I provide it also on my Discord, which is just a conglomerate of all the resources I've used so far to learn. So, yeah. Okay, so by the way, you're not overriding. Yeah, sorry, I had a typo. EQ, my bad. I like that attitude of learning. It's really good for ourselves. We got to keep ways of learning no matter what. Also, what data type are you assuming to be passed in, other or self? So other, well, so data type for other would have to be another iterable, right? How do you classify an iterable in like a type hint here, right? And then it would like what, return bool, like that? Or does that come after this? How do you, is it 2 arrow lines or what is it? I can't remember. A says this will short circuit. Okay, so this probably won't work then. Well, index of self isn't even being able to be accessed inside of here. So do we need to compare them one by placing them in like a checker? So can we just say like for value in self, can we save value self val equals none right here, like right there, and then do for value in self. What am I doing wrong here? What's going wrong here? Oops. Oh, that's what's wrong. So right off the jump, we can, like Ferris said, thank you Ferris for that suggestion. Um, uh, we, if length self not equal to length other, right? Flag. We'll set flag to true automatically. I guess we don't need a flag, really. I don't know why I did that. We can just return false here. But like someone said earlier, is what if these lists are just like infinite, right? This is assuming that they aren't infinite, right? And you can't run on something like that. Now, so if the length right off the bat is we return false, would it be an elif here, or an if statement? So would it be a secondary check or a primary check? Well, if they're the same length, then we need to check are each the values the same. So this would be elif if it passes this check. So elif value, elif for value in, oh shoot. What am I doing wrong here? I feel like, am I tripping? Catch up here. I was mainly referring to the type, quote, other. Oh, other just meant like, I just said other as in like self and other. Like you have this self and the other one. Like it didn't mean other as in like anything. But I guess other could be anything in this case by context. Yeah. For value in self, self val. Can we just say this? Do we need to have this globally, like in our local environment or down here? So for value in self, how can we iterate? We can't iterate twice over the same thing though, right? I mean, we were kind of doing it earlier, but it wasn't, we couldn't embed two for loops and iterate twice over different lists at the same time. Trying to think. Yeah, so there would be infinite and geometric sequences. So there would be infinite sequences. Right. but would you even want to determine if the infinite sequence is the same? I don't even know. So what else do we need here, guys? If the length is self, so this will check the length, but you know, this kind of has a little bit iffy because the sequence could be infinite. This will get stuck here, be checking this forever. So for value in self, can we save that value temporarily? We'll have self value val self is equal to none. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here, guys. So for value in self, we want to val self is equal to value. How can we, I don't know, like, we can't just check at the same time, and like, how can we bring these together to like iterate through iterate through check, but that would just be pretty repetitive. So if we have two lit tuples, you can check out the index point. So we can iterate through indexes. So what does the index do? So for index in the range of the length of self, so that'll give us the index of self, right? Nested for loops. That's what I tried earlier. So for so if we find get the index value of each, if the self at index self is equal to other at index of other, then like that? What do you guys think about that? You can iterate through the indices, nested for loop. If we know the lengths are the same, does a single loop suffice? Yeah, because we already would know the length, so we would need, but we need to save the index though and compare them at that one position though. Right? That's what I would thought. If they're both infinite, the loop would last forever in some circumstances, right? But what do you guys think about what I got right here? Do we have any qualms? Qualms? I don't know what the word is. Like qualms or something like that? Like disagreements? I'm all ears. So if we're trying to at the same place, I guess you wouldn't need two indices then, right? You would just need values. So if that's the case, it would just be for value in self, right? For val2 in other, no, value other, and other, if val is equal to val other, return true, else, whoop, my bad, return false. So if, just like you said, so if we already know the lengths are the same, we don't really need the index value because we can just compare the value at these points. Qualums. Aaron, thank you so much for the check on my English. The qualums. I like that word. Appreciate you leaving a comment, man. Okay, so I'm going to, let's go ahead and let's ask the almighty orb here, guys. We've been battling this for a second, and we gave it a really good effort here for our answer. Let's go ahead and see what the almighty orb has to say. All right, I am solving this problem. I have two approaches. One with index values and one without. I don't think I need the index values. Coach me through my answers and this problem, but don't give me the answer, or don't just give me the answer. Of course, let's approach this problem systematically. First, please share the problem you're working on. Okay, yeah, I gotta do that. Sorry, my bad. Oh, okay, I'll exit out of that. I saw someone in chat. Ferris, he has a good idea. Let's try that first. Okay, Ferris had a really good idea. So we have something good right here. Thank you so much for stopping in, Ferris. I really appreciate your comments and your input. I look forward to meeting you again. Thank you so much. So we have a really good start here, but Ferris mentioned something really interesting. We don't want to move on if it's true, right? Because if it's true, we just want to check for the first time that the list differs from each other. So if we're just continually going on and just checking, right? Well, that's going to do it here. No. If the is true, me putting not equals here and then saying return false, else return true, doesn't do anything different. Programmatically, right? This doesn't change anything. It just did the inverse. If it's not true, then just return false. Oh no, because if we were returning true, it would just return for every single one of the list. So if it's not true, return false, else return true will stop at the first instance. Oop, I did it again. I keep bumping my little cord thing, sorry, from my dock. All right. You're currently going to return true if the first two values are the same, irrespective of every other value. Exactly. So what if we say this? While index, while what if we do this? Will this work? No, that's a dumb idea. So do we need a while loop then? Do we need to say while? Oh, my screen's not updating because of the, sorry. I apologize. Okay, there you go. Eric, yeah, my schedule. I have a 9 to 5, so I usually I work 9 to about. I usually try to get out because of traffic and things like that in this area. Usually try to get up around 4:30, maximum 5:30, and I'll get home around maybe 6:30, and then I'll hop on stream around 7 until about 9:30, and then I'll watch a show with my girlfriend, and then go to bed, repeat, and then the weekends I'll stream for 3, 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes, like I did this weekend. So yeah. Okay, we've been on this one forever, you guys. Let's see. Great start. Let's break down your implementation and refine the thought process. The goal is to implement the EQ method so that two sequences are considered equal if their elements are identical and in the same order. Let's analyze both of your approaches and identify where they diverge from the intended solution. Key insights on the problem. Length check. Your length check is great. If two sequences differ in length, they cannot be equal. Okay, element by element comparison. To ensure quality, corresponding elements. So we need to say while true for else continue. Like that. So now, if we get a value that's not the same, we'll return false, else we'll just continue looking right off the jump. I think that is the answer. I could be way wrong, though. You're getting closer, but there's still a few issues with your current implementation. Let's walk through the details. You're correctly checking the length of both sequences first. If the lengths don't match, the sequences can't be equal. Issues. The while true loop. This loop creates an implement which isn't necessarily in this case. We can simply iterate through element once. Okay, we don't need that. Never mind. I'm done. Never mind. Okay. Nested loops. You're using two nested loops. This means you're comparing every element of self with every element of other, which isn't needed for this task. The goal is to compare corresponding elements. Self of index with self other of index. Else clause and continue. Using else continue doesn't really help here. Okay. The goal is to compare corresponding elements from self and other. We can use a single loop that goes over both sequences simultaneously, comparing elements one by one. What? We can do that? Can you say for index in range? Can you go like this in Python? No, you can't say and in. The goal is to compare elements from self and other. We can use a single loop that goes over both sequences simultaneously, comparing elements one by one. Here's how you can adjust the code. Oh. So range of self will give me back an object 0 until 0 to self, right? Yeah, okay, so Alfonso says, because we're already checking length here, both objects are already the same length, so the range function provides the appropriate functionality needed in order to determine every value. So when you say for index in range here, because index is going to be the same for other and self. Okay, we got it. Okay, so because index, right, because we already have the same length, we passed this check, we already have the same length, self and other have the same length. Okay, I said that 25 times, I'm sorry. We can infer then that only one value of variable index is needed because 0 is going to represent both the 0 for index of self and of the other, right? We're not going to have any differing indexes. We just need to loop over one of the lists and then compare at that same index value with the other list. I got it. So for index in range self, if self at that index value is equal to other at that index value too, right? Because this has the same index values, return true. Or false. Like so. So you don't even need an else. Here. Just like that. So the index is only needed to be saved once because we already checked that the two that self and other had the same length, thus the same index values. Exactly. Once you check the self and other have the same length, you can safely assume that they both have the same number of elements. Therefore, you only need to use a single loop to iterate through both sequences and compare the elements at corresponding positions. Why this works, gotcha. Awesome. Thank you so much for stopping in, A. It was great to meet you and talk with you today. I appreciate you for following along and joining the group and participating there. You're awesome. Thanks so much. Hello, Darshan. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming in. Okay. So we were on the right track. We were getting there. Good job, guys. Okay, guys, we were almost there. Last problem here before I'll go ahead and end it for I know we didn't work on any of the personal project tonight. It's unfortunately 9 o'clock, so I've got to start wrapping it up. I've got work in the morning. Got to, start winding down, get something to eat here, and then I'm going to watch a show with my girlfriend before bed. But tomorrow we will be back and we'll jump right into chapter 3, which will be brand new content to learn all about DSA. Let me go ahead and just show a quick. Oh, this is another one of these problems. Can we just show a quick preview of what chapter 3 is about? I think it starts really diving in. Yeah, look at all this stuff. It's got graphs, experimental studies. So chapter 3 goes experimental studies, moving beyond experimental analysis, the 7 functions used in this book, comparing growth rates, asymptote. I can never pronounce this word. Asymptotic analysis, symptotic analysis. I can never pronounce it. The big O notation. So we learned about big O notation and simple justification techniques. So we really get into it starting tomorrow, and we'll dive right in. So follow along and be back tomorrow for that. But let's go ahead and wrap up this one more problem before we go for today. All right, so in similar spirit to the previous problem, augment the sequence class with the method LT to support lexiconographic comparison. sequence 1 is less than sequence 2. I'm assuming it means by length, right? It's got to mean by length. Do you guys think it means by length, or is there some sort of like addition to the sequence, like the sum of the sequence is less than? I'm going to infer length for right now. Let me know if you guys think it's different. So for this one, we need to define a Dunder LT method for lexiconographic comparison. And then this is going to take in self and other again, right? So what exactly do we need to do to self and other? We need to first check if they are, so if they're the same length, they're equal. So if the length, do you not just say if length less than? So if length, so is this just not length? Do you not want to use the length function inside of this problem? Would you want to like save the number of elements in a variable? Like, is it appropriate to be using a function length within the actual determination of, yeah, probably, right? So if the length of self is this just not this? Like that. Hey Scorpio, thanks so much for coming in and leaving a comment. Hey Tyrese, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I'm currently reading the data structures and algorithm book in Python. You can find this PDF online. It's just I believe it's like kind of like a collegiate level Python book that is used in some courses. I could be wrong though, but it just teaches you kind of DSA and some elements, hopefully. And I also provide a PDF of this just in my Discord, my community Discord, linked in the description below. It just is kind of a general area where I summarize all of my learnings and provide all the resources, complete for free, obviously, as I am learning myself, and it's just a hobby of mine as well. So for this one, is this not what we do? Just length of self is less than this, then return true? What do you guys think? I don't want to just look it up right now and see, but do we have any other inputs in the chat from you guys as to why, or as to a possible solution to this one? Now, would we want to use length, or would we want to iterate over and then save the values in a variable and then compare those? I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Anybody have some opinions? Let's go ahead and take it to the orb. You're on the right track with the LT method. The idea is to compare two sequences lexiconographically, meaning element by element in the same way that words are ordered in a dictionary. However, there are 2 points to refine. Lexiconographic comparison. Implement LT less than compare. So we need to compare sequences element by element. Oh. Okay, so it's not length. So we were shooting ourselves in the foot right off the bat. So it's not length, it's meaning that the sequence is less than, so it's like a sequence of numbers. So think about it like this, I mean, like if self, right, if I have a thing here, self is equal to 444, right? And then here other is equal to 443. Well, it's checking not the length of the sequences, but rather the value of the sequence is less than or equal to, like mathematically. So that's what it meant by. Okay, so then let's try that. So if we need to first determine if they're the same length, right? If the length of self is less than, no, is greater than the length of other, that's return true right here. No, false here. Right, so self would be greater, meaning that it's greater than, right off the bat, if like it has a larger length, that means that it has one more number, meaning that it's greater, value, just mathematically, right, magnitude wise. So then, so that takes care of that check. So then we'll say for index in self, if self at that index, right, is equal to or is less than other at that same index point, right, we're going to return true. So is there a way now that we can remove this false statement and have it just be encompassed by this one? What do you guys, is there a way, my brain's getting kind of slow here. Been working all day, 9 to 5, and then doing this stream for over 2 hours now, so I'm getting towards the end of my brain power for this evening. But what do you guys think? Is there a way we can remove this false statement to be captured by this one? I think it's fine, but what do we do in the other one? Yeah, the same thing. All right, let's copy this over. Any questions on how we did this one, you guys? So for this one, we weren't determining, right, before we were thinking about it, okay, are we trying to determine if the length of the sequence is less than? No, we're trying to determine, like, if self is literally the value 444 and other is 443, well, 443 is less than 444, right? I can make this even more simple and make this 100, right? And make this, 500. Other is clearly less than self. So how can we make this return like the values we want, right? In case this sequence is different as a custom class sequence than what's already provided by Python. So if we implement this method for this custom class, it'll take this sequence, determine, okay, well, these are both the same length, so we need to determine on a case by case, number integer by integer level. But if they were, let's say, self was greater by one integer value, by one index value than other, then right off the bat we know that self is greater than other, so we return false. So back to the scenario where they're both the same length, meaning that they both have 3 integer values, we need to then check on an integer by integer basis. So we say for the index in self, we already know that they're the same length based on this. For index, well, they could be less, right? Other could be less than. So we do need another check here is elif. So sequence 1 would be self less than So if sequence 1 actually is like this, the length of sequence 1 is less than, we need to return true right off the bat as well. So we need to return true Okay, let's think about this. Do we need this? So I added, so we check it one way, right? So we have these numbers loaded up. We load this function. Okay, it's going to determine the length of self. Oh, length of self is 3. Length of other is 3. Okay, we're moving on. Boom, we'll do this. Okay, if we add a value here, it's going to go to this step here and say, okay, is length of self greater than other? Yes, it is. Return false right away. Boom, we get hit with that. Okay, let's do the other scenario. Let's take one away from here now. If length of self is less than wait, sorry. No, we need to take one from here. That would have been the same scenario. So there, where self had one more. So we need to take one more from self. So now in this scenario, self has one less integer index value than other. So now we get hit with this one. Length of self is less than other. We return true right off the bat here. Elif that Okay, let's try that. I think that is suffice enough to get a Jibbity response. I feel confident. Oh, very close. Let's break down your current approach to clarify what needs to be adjusted. Current code review. Issues. The loop over self in your index self loop, you're iterating over the elements self directly. However, you should be iterating over the indices. What? Oh, whoops, sorry. We need a range here. So now, what happens if I put that in here? Very close again. Okay, the for index and range self, you should iterate over the indices self, so the correct loop should be index and range. These are already, so self and other are already sequences. If they are both iteral types, we don't need to worry about manual handling structure beyond comparing their elements. Let's update your LT. Jeez, they did it way different than we did. God. So they say for index and range, what in the world? They did it so weird. This is strange. For index and the range of the minimum length of self. Why is he taking a minimum length between self and other? So what'll that is crazy. So that if the length of self is 3, or right, and the length of other is 3, minimum 3 to 3 is 3. So range would be 0 to 3. So if then self is 2, so 2 to 3, minimum of 2 and 3 would be 2, range 0 to 2. So what's this line right here is determining which one has, it's prioritizing the index, saving the index for the range for the, so what it's doing is it's taking the length of self. So if it's in this case 2, right? Then it's taking the length of other. And in this case it's 100. So we have 2, I mean, I'm sorry, it's 3. So we have 2 and 3. So then it's trying to take the minimum of those values. It's saying, okay, minimum of 2 to 3. 2 and 3. Minimum of 2 to 3 would be 2. Meaning that we would take the smallest length provided. And then we would do the range of that to find the indexes corresponding to the object that has the shortest length, meaning the smallest number. So in this case, it would find a range of 2 for self, and then save that to index, and then if self at that index point is less than other index, return true. Because obviously it's less. Now, so we iterate over the indices of both sequences. And compare corresponding elements. This is weird. All right, so this is, we'll say, I'm kind of understanding, but I'm kind of not. Trying to, so it's prioritizing the length for the smallest. So you are prioritizing the length for the smaller object. Yes, I'm prioritizing the length of the object when comparing sequences lexicographically. The reason behind it is that works. So comparing sequence 1 and sequence 2, the sequences are identical up to the third element. Since sequence 1 is shorter, it has fewer elements considered less. Yes. First 3 elements, so return. Oh, so length self already returns a bool with this statement. So what about this guy here? Great question. Let me clarify purpose. The line for index in range min length self to the length other is used to iterate through the indices of the shorter sequence. Whether self or other is shorter. Here's the reason behind it. Why min length self length other? We use min function to determine the shorter length between self and other. This ensures that we only compare elements as long as both sequences have corresponding elements to compare. If one sequence is shorter than the other, we stop comparing when we reach the end of the shorter sequence. For example, if self is 1, 2, 3, length 3 and other is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, length 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5, the shorter sequence has a length of 3. We only compare the first three elements, 0 to 2, 0, 1, and 2. The loop 4 iterates over the indices 0 to minimum zero to the minimum and just added this -1 out of nowhere for some reason. I'm not sure why. Okay, so I get what it's saying. So what it's saying is that, let's try this one more time. So it's saying for the index in, okay, so we're going to take the range of the minimum length of self to the length of other, and the length of other. Okay. So what this is saying is the length of self in this case is going to be 2. The length of other in this case is going to be 3, right? So this is going to be 2. This is going to be 3, right? We're going to find the minimum, right? Take min, right, of these numbers. So it's going to see, okay, 2 is smaller, right? It's the smallest one. Now, if other was lower, then it would take lower. It would take other. So it's going to take 2 here. Now it's going to make a range object based on that. So from 0 to 2. So now we have a range object. Range is 0 to 2. Okay, and now we're going to index through that, right? Now, what's the whole point of that, right? What's the whole point of saving the index of the smaller one? Well, by saving the index of the smaller one, we will then stop after we check this 0, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, oh shoot. We're going to say the self, if self at the index level, at that index, is less than self at the other index, no, other at that index, same index, right? We need to check it on a case-by-case basis, integer by integer basis. If self index is less than other, then we're going to return that the self is smaller, right? Because it's less than the other at that integer value. Elif self at that index value is greater than, return false, the inverse. Right? So then, if all elements are equal up to the length of the shorter sequence is considered less. So then you just physically check if the lengths of them are the same, right? Because so at this point we break them down by their section by section. Now, if we get to a point where they equal the same, so this says that. Now, what happens if, like, let's say that these are the same value. So if we say 3, this will make a range object from 0 to 3, and we'll take an index. So for index and range, that makes a range object here of 0 to 3 if these are the same length. So we index 3 times over each of them. Oh, this is not less. This is not less. This is not less. So it's going to return false. This is greater right here, so it's going to return false. So why do we need this? Why do we need this? The return length self length other at the end method is crucial for correctly handling cases where the sequences are identical up to the length of the shorter sequence, but one sequence is longer than the other. Oh, it's an edge case. So in the case that self is 2 for their size, but the first two values are the same as here, right? So if that's the case, you meet this if self is less than, well, you don't meet that, right? Because it's the same. Well, then boom. And then we'll 4. Oh, that's the same. Okay, we're kicked out of the for loop because we checked both those values were the same as those two values. So we're going to return that. I get it now. You guys get that? You guys following along, hopefully? So what this is saying is, one more time, I know I've said this over again, but we are trying to implement the lexicographic comparison for this sequence, right? 1 to 2, 1 less than 2. So if we take in self and other, so we're going to, find the index for, and we're going to prioritize the smallest length. So we can do this by finding the length of both of them and then determining the minimum out of those two, from this to that. Now, we can create a range object to go from 0 to that minimum length to then find the index values, because remember, index start from 0. So that's why that range part is crucial. You have to add that range to start from 0 to develop that index range up to the length. Now, if for every index value, right, determined by our smaller sequence, if that integer value is less than the other, we're going to return true. So if this is 0 right here, oh, it's less than that 1, so we're going to return true. That's a smaller number, and in this case, it's a smaller number, right? If it's a bigger number, if there's a 5 here and this is a 1 here, we're going to return false. Other is a bigger number, right? But if the values are equal up until the lengths differ, right? In this case, we need to check that right here and return that Boolean. Cool. So that is the answer to this problem. Awesome, you guys. All right, let's catch up on some chats here. People People are talking about neural networks. I'm sure we'll get there eventually, Jake. Thanks so much for the comments. I appreciate you chatting it up in the joining the stream and participating. I'm sure we'll get there. I'm a PhD student in AI and robotics. Awesome. That's super cool, dude. I'm going to be diving into this book in the next coming weeks and months, hopefully. Have you ever heard of this book? Is it any good? Let me know. I don't even know if it's on the same kind of topics you're talking about, but I'm a beginner, so appreciate you coming in, though. Ebenezer, thanks so much for coming in. Yeah, this is the Data Structures and Algorithms in Python's textbook. I believe that this is taught at some college levels, maybe a little bit lower. I'm not sure exactly. But you can find this PDF online, just Data Structures and Algorithms in Python PDF. It's by 3 authors. They all share credits. But if you'd like just to have an easy access way, I have a Discord in my community. Discord linked below in the description, where I just have a compile of all my study resources just on the Discord, completely free for everybody to check out and use. You know, as we study it together and learn, and that's the whole point, is learning together. So yeah. All right, let's paste this in and make sure we have everything correct here. Your implementation method, it looks solid. Nice. Cool. So that is that. That was a hard one. I'm not gonna lie. These two are pretty tough. I think these two might have been. Oh, they weren't too terrible, but they did make me start to kind of think in this algorithmic way of, saving indexes. I am learning. I didn't really think about saving indexes using ranges of objects that are iterable and stuff like that. So by implementing this, we have been able to come a long way in and everything. I think we had another problem a couple days ago, where we had to check for a range length of cell for a dot product here, which was kind of cool. All right, well, it is 9:41, you guys. I work a 9 to 5. I have a degree in human biology, and I graduated in 2021. And I have a minor in chemistry on the human side of things, biological side of things, and I work as a formulation chemist at a biotech company, where I make biological products for testing in hospitals and things like that. So like patient diagnostic testing. And so I'm learning Python to just further gain skills, and I found some instances in my current work where I manually calculate a lot of chemical matrices and use a lot of kind of tribal knowledge and intuition to predict these these concentration levels within certain products, serums, and I thought, what'd be a good way to maybe have a computer do that for me. And about 6 months ago, that launched me into a deep dive into learning Python, and I found to really enjoy it. So if that's something that you're also doing and are interested in, please follow along. I stream pretty much Monday through Friday, almost every day after work. I try to, unless I'm really, really deadbeat after work or something comes up. And then I stream on the weekends for about 4 or 5 hours at a time as well. So I'm learning every day. I try my best to. I'm reading various books. We've completed Python Crash Course here on the channel. I've read the entire book aloud of part 1. We are doing the Data Structures and Algorithms right now, PDF version. We're going to move to Fluent Python after that, and then go into machine learning after that. And so we're going to really dive deep into learning Python as a whole. And so follow along to the channel, and I'll be back tomorrow. You guys, thanks so much for coming in. Let me know if you find these useful. I've been getting a lot of really positive feedback on the channel. We've been growing quite rapidly over the past few days. It's been really exciting to watch and to see you guys, join the Discord and participate. Seem to be enjoying the interactions we have on stream here with these problems. And I know we worked on this all day all stream. Because I just wanted to wrap up chapter 2. This wrapped up chapter 2. I only do the reinforcement problem, so we did 23 of them, as you can see. And Yeah, so we'll move to chapter 3 tomorrow, which is all about getting into the actual contents of algorithms and getting into big O notation and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff coming for tomorrow. If you're interested in stopping by, I would love to interact and chat with you guys. Please come in. I'm just a guy out here all by himself, so it's nice to be able to talk to you guys while I learn. It's super fun. And then in the back half of my streams, we work on personal projects that I'm developing. So right now, I'm making a small business manager application, is what I've titled it, where we take in a bunch of inventory items, and we can process those items and convert them into sales in our database, and then calculate, cost of goods, net revenues, profits, generate financial reports, income statements, and even help formulate tax documents. And then we can share this code to other small business owners out there, and they could use it, because I find that it's pretty hard for everyday people to kind of know how to manage like inventories, and if we had a program that kind of did it all and formulated these documents that they could provide to their tax professionals, be really useful. So if that's something that you're interested in, please follow along. I work on that every day at the back half, but I worked on this all today just to bang it out. But we've been working on that the past couple of streams. I'll just preview that really fast. Really stay with me here, you guys. This is the task. This is the the small business manager application we've been working on. I wrote in these classes. We have a parent class and 2 child classes that just follow the transition from item to for sale item to sold item with their associated attributes. And then we are working on a program here similar to kind of my task tracker project I've already released and pushed to my GitHub. So if you want to check that out, feel free. It's on my GitHub right now, and it's a basic but intuitive task tracker application run through the CLI. And yeah, so we just have a function here, and in the last couple of streams we implemented these 2 pretty lengthy functions here. Load file, which takes in a flag based on the actual condition or type of item that's being loaded in. I just have it as a string, right? Kind of like an is instance in a sense. And anyways, we just load the items with the CSV. We assign their attributes depending on the flag provided for that condition, and then we assign them and set them into our database associated in our all items dictionary here. So we return the list and assign it to the key values associated in the dictionary for this type provided as the key. So it's really quite intuitive, and we worked on that for a good 2 hours in one of the streams on this weekend. And then we put in the save file function, which does something similar. This one was a little bit easier to write, but just overall writes all of those files that were created internally or previously loaded into the system, writes them all and saves them depending on the flag given, and then if there isn't any, and then writes the headers as well for the associated files. And so as you can see, we have files for each of the item conditions, so items, for sale items, and sold items, and all of these have their attributes being saved appropriately when these functions call to them when we load in. We tested that out last stream. And so yeah, it was super cool. We added this in last time, and it worked out really well. And we were able to fix some bugs with it. We were getting the sold items weren't getting their item numbers read properly because some of the order of our attributes were not appropriate and aligned with our previous our child classes, our parent classes, I mean. So we were getting a bug, and we spent about 45 minutes trying to solve that. I was going through everything trying to figure out why it wasn't working, and we were able to figure it out, which was really nice. So right now we have a system here. If I go ahead and just run it really fast, I can show you. We just kind of enter into the Small Business Manager v1.0 by Michael Deming, and right now, we just have hold on, I'm sorry. Which one is it trying to load? It's trying to take in row 6 on listing price. Or for sale items, listing price, got a 10 there. Items, sold items. Oh, here, listing price isn't getting a save in sold items. See, we have another bug then, date created, listing price. Sold items, 1, 2, 0. Did I just not have any there before? Yeah, I don't think I did. Let me just put in some here temporarily. Okay, so I'll just put in some temporarily. We might have a bug, but we'll fix it eventually. So if we run here, we get all the items back that are being generated. I think I maybe left out that thing, so let me see, where am I generating those items here as my tester? Here they are. So sold item, listing price is 2,000. Sold items. Yeah, so we got some bugs to work out for sure with this, you guys. Definitely. But we'll work on this tomorrow. I need to fix, it's not properly reading some of these points in here, unfortunately. Thanks, now, John. I appreciate you coming in and leaving a comment. That's super awesome. I'll continue learning, and thanks so much for following along. So, because we were, right, we were implementing a listing price here of 2,000. So what happens if I actually exit this? Yes. Yeah, see, it doesn't get a listing price. It's not being saved appropriately. If I delete these and then have them generate again when they're being put in, right? There, exit, yes, and now they'll save. Okay, those get points for all of their stuff. So there's that one. But we have a gap here. So listing price is not being saved appropriately. Supering listing price from our init. So if I'm supering from the initialize here with a listing price int. So then in my save, let's go to the save file then. So in my here, listing price, sold item listing underscore price. Sold item listing underscore price. It's assigned to index 6. Item number, name, size, quantity, cost, date created, listing price, date listed, sold price, date sold. So sold item dot listing price is not saving onto the file. Yes, it exists. No typo. Check for hidden issues in data. So I'm gonna print. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna delete these, and then I'm going to comment out these guys, so those don't get generated. Those are just object generations for testing. And then I'm gonna print here all items, for sold items, index 0 dot listing price. Right? So now if I run this, delete these, run, yes, none. So it's not being saved. So then let's see why. Item name is given, item number is given, name is given, number is given, name is given, cost is given, size is given, sold price is given. Okay, I'm just gonna go like this. Give me these. You go there. Wait. Okay. So I'm just gonna make these myself. Item name. We'll say this is sold item test, right? Cost, well, 10. Size, medium. Item number, we'll make this 100. Listing price, 1,000. Sold price, 1,000. Date created, we'll make this default to today. We'll make this default to 1. Those will default to today. Okay, so now let's try this. I know I was supposed to sign off like 20 minutes ago, guys. You guys are got me here for longer. They're begging me to stay. Even though no one said anything. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so why won't this work now? No, that needs to stay. Oh, there's a comma here. There we go. Okay, so now if I run this sold item, this should populate all of these. Run. Yes. None. Again. Why? Okay, then let me go back and let me bring those guys back. Maybe we just need to assign, if we're going to have all the attributes, we need to assign all the attributes. Date created. We'll just do so that worked. That auto-generated those dates 3 times like I wanted. So let's copy this. Was that? Oops. Whoops. Was that? Equals that. Equals that. Okay. So now what happens? So I'll come here to our sold item, delete this. Do we get everything saved now? Okay, now if we run, yes. What the heck? This don't make any sense. Okay, we're getting a date here. Even though we're signing it, I don't understand. Code provider shows that you're appending something. Based on the code you've shared, the sold item class inherits from sold item, which inherits from sold item. The sold item class correctly defines and assigns sold date sold, therefore listing price. The sold item class correctly defines and assigns listing price, sold price, and date sold. Therefore, listing price should be correctly set for sold item and initialized. If the listing price is still not saving in the CSV file, the issue could be related to the CSV writing section, or the way the sold item instances are being added to inspect sold item object. So then this is my Save file. Oh. It doesn't find any errors. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Why? I don't get it. It's so annoying. This is the problem we were dealing with yesterday. But it was for the sold items. So what's happening is that, right, it's pretty simple, is that I am creating a sold item, right? I'm supering the name, the cost of the item, the size, the number, oh, here we go. It might be right here. Listing price. Date created. Quantity. Date listed. Okay, now what about the order of these ones? Okay, so I think that was the bug. I think we had just a swap in the initialization coming from the super LOL hee hee. Thanks so much for joining. I like your name. That's so funny. All right, that's so funny because it's literally bunny. Ugh, gosh, I'm gonna kill myself. Okay, now I think that that will work. So if we go to the sold items and now we run this, come on, baby, come on, baby, come to dad, come to me. Where are you at? Here we go. Right, so we should see listing price now of 1,000. Yes! Woohoo! Let's go, you guys. Give a round of applause. We got it. Isn't that so nice when we finally say, now if we exit, yes, sold items has everything being written appropriately. Now I want to just do one more quick test. Let me go ahead and remove this. I'm going to remove these items, I'm going to bring back the creation of the different other two types. Okay. And then what I want to do is I'm going to remove these. I want to see if it still generates with these optional parameters not given. Yeah, the inheritance. Yeah, I didn't realize that when you in the initialization, the order also needs to be consistent as well. I thought if you just initialize, I just had one thing swapped here, and it was just a small little like blip that I had looked over 100 times, and on the 101 times I finally looked at this again, I saw it was annoying. Okay, so now I want to see if these will generate with those default parameters voided. So now if we run, okay, exit, yes, that generated everything, okay, that generated everything, okay, and nice, let's go, guys. All right, this is a great place to sign off. We streamed for 3 hours. I worked 8 hours and I streamed 3 hours. It was an 11-hour day today. Whew, a doozy. But So yeah, so this was just, I know I was trying to give you a preview of this, but we ended up just doing some debugging. But we were able to implement successfully bug fix and actually solve, and now we have a 100% working reading and writing of created pre-existing items for sold items and sold items, and then also internally worked and internally processed for sold and regular items that get saved and written to the file. So next time tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll actually start diving into the run inventory function I have kind of set up here, which will kind of do all of the inventory displaying, filtering. We'll have to set up the process flow like we did for all of this, um, for these these more process functions as I have outlined here. So if that's something that you're interested in seeing tomorrow, feel free to follow along so we can meet again and check back in tomorrow. But yeah, this has been a very successful 3-hour stream for today on Monday, December 2nd. I appreciate all of you coming. We started with DSA and Python, and then ended up we finished chapter 2, all of the reinforcement problems today. So we're going to move on to chapter 3, getting into the nitty gritty of actual getting into algorithms tomorrow and getting into the stuff with it. And then we'll jump back into the small business manager. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for coming today. We had like 10, 11 viewers constantly for the past like hour. So this was really good stream. So I really appreciate you guys joining and being here.